Ciao, benvenuti. Hi, welcome to Italy, my friends. Mark here with Wolters World, and we're in Venice, Italy, at the Piazza San Marco. You got the Basilica San Marco behind me. Extremely cool place to check out with the golden domes inside. Well worth visiting. And actually, all of Italy is well worth visiting, from Sicily in the very south to here in Veneto. So what we have for you today are what you should know before you come to Italy to get you better prepared, because it is awesome and I want you to have the best time possible. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is language. Just like in the US, everyone speaks the local language. So if you go to the US, everybody speaks English. Here in Italy, everybody speaks Italian, and you need to learn a little when you come here. Now, not speaking Italian is not going to be a super problem because the tourist infrastructure in Italy is well put together. So lots of people speak English. The young people speak English extremely well. So you're going to be okay in that way. So you don't have to worry too much. However, if you actually do speak some Italian, just a little bit, the Italians really take you in and will give you so much love and so much affection and just do so much for you that it makes a really big difference. And we actually have a few videos on some basic Italian for tourists that'll make a big difference when you're here. Now, the second thing you should know about Italy is the money. Yes, they use the euro here, and the euro has 500 euro bills, 200 euro bills, 100 euro bills, 50 euro bills, 20 euro bills, 10 euro bills, and 5 euro bills. I usually see the 20s and 5s. I've never seen a 500 in person. So, but they have that. But the difference between here and the US are the coins. The coins in Italy and all throughout Europe where they use euros. So realize the coins here actually are worth something. And the coins are 2 euro coins and 1 euro coins. Then they have 50-cent pieces, 20-cent pieces, 10, 5, and then you'll see 2 and 1s as well. So you do have that. Now, if you're looking to get money, there are a lot of exchange houses throughout Italy because there are so many tourists that come here. However, in general, I find that your best exchange rate is going to be with an ATM with your debit card from your bank back home. Now, one thing you need to know is if you can, get a credit card or a debit card that has the chip in it, because if you want to get money at night in some cities, you have to swipe your card to get into the ATM. And the way you get in isn't the magnetic strip, it's the little chip in there. So if you don't have one of those yet, which you will in the future if you don't have one already, I would request one so you kind of get away with some of the problems. Also, it works better when you're going to be shopping too, okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is eating. And let's just cut to the point. Italians love to eat and they love to enjoy the whole eating experience, and you will love it here too. But what you should know is there are no spaghetti and meatballs here. Yes, there are spaghetti, and yes, there are meatballs, but they don't put them together, okay? So just be prepared for that. Have some bigli con arna, so bigli with duck if you're in Vicenza, or have some bucatini when you're in Rome and enjoy the bacon and tomato sauce with it. Have the different pastas and meats that are all around the country. The bread throughout the country is different. And that's the thing is, when people come to Italy, they think it's just pasta and pizza. No, the meats here, the cheeses, and of course the wine is fantastic. So make sure you're experimenting more than just, spaghetti ragu or spaghetti pomodoro, okay? Now, when you look at how Italians eat, Italians tend to have an espresso and maybe a brioche, like a little croissant for breakfast, or some kind of little biscotti or cookie. They're not big on breakfast. Now, when you go to your hotel, they probably will have a little spread, so be okay with that. But you won't see the Italians having a big breakfast. A lot of people say, wait, how do they have all this pizza and pasta and they stay so thin? Well, Italians don't have a big breakfast, a big lunch, and a big dinner. They usually have one big meal during the day, whether it's lunch or dinner. If they have a big lunch, they might have a salad and fruit and cheese for dinner. So when you go around, have a big meal at lunch, and then go have something lighter in the evening, because you can have all these different meals. Now, another thing you might be surprised about is when you order your food and you get a primi piatti, or first plate, versus a second plate. First plate is pasta. Okay, and that will come out first because primi is first. Then after that comes out the meat, the secondi piatti, the second plate. So if you have a group that's ordering and some people have pasta and some people have meat, they might not necessarily come out at the same time. So if you want it all to come together at the same time, like if you're with your kids and stuff like that, make sure you ask them to please bring everything at once. And the tourist areas, they already know this, but just in case, you want to make sure you mention that to them. Also, when you're looking to pay your bill. The bill is called il conto, okay? Now, they're not going to bring you your bill unless you ask for it. So just say, per favore, il conto, per favore, please, the bill, please. And then they'll bring it to you, no problem. Because Italians tend to linger and sit around and chat and enjoy life with their family and friends when they eat. And it can take a while. You'll see the stores will close in the afternoon for a while, and people sit at the cafes and restaurants for hours because you really enjoy life here and they enjoy those things, and you should know that when you go to eat. Now, when you're going to restaurants, one of the questions I get from a lot of people is, well, if I'm going to the restaurant, do I need to tip? In Italy, you do not have to tip. Now, if they do a really good job or you really enjoy it, yes, of course you can leave a tip. No one's going to say no, but you're going to have to leave that tip in cash. You can pay with your credit cards, but the credit card thing does not come with the little write in your tip thing. You've got to leave the money on the side, because if you put it on the credit card thing, they most likely will not get it. And believe me, the service here in Italy is top notch. The people are fantastic in good ways and silly ways. I mean, the place we were at last night, the lady was literally flipping our children for fun. Another place we went, they smacked my brother because he was too skinny and he needed to eat more. So they are pretty awesome when you do come here. So just be prepared for that and just have your mind open and just try a little Italian and they'll open up with you. Now, let's look at shopping. Now, if you want to go to Italy, you can get the really great fashions here, or you can, and it is a little bit cheaper than in the US and other parts of Europe, but it is still expensive. I mean, Armani is still Armani, Dolce is still Dolce, and you're going to pay a premium price. However, that premium price is a little bit less premium here, so you can make out a decent deal on those, but you should know during the lunch hour times, 12 to 3 maybe, a lot of the stores will close, but they'll open up later in the day. Sometimes the banks will actually open at 9 and close about 1:30, and they may or may not open up later in that day. So if you need to do any banking at a real bank, make sure you do that in the morning. Now, the ATMs, of course, they're open 24 hours a day, but make sure you have that chip card so you can kind of get in. And I've seen tourists have some problem getting out of those things. Look for the aperti or the open button so you can open the door to get out, okay? One of the things that Italy kind of gets a bad rap on are the taxis. Are they ripping you off? Are they taking the wrong place? I found that Italian taxi drivers aren't too bad. It's just that taxis in Italy in general are more expensive than other parts of Europe in comparison to other prices. We took taxis yesterday, and what I would have thought would have been about a 10 euro taxi ride in Germany was about 17 euros here. So be ready for that. So try to use public transportation more, because public transportation here is extremely affordable, and the trains, the Freccia train, which are the fast trains, like from Milan to Venice or going down to Rome, you get the Freccia. You're pretty much guaranteed to be on time, or at least within 5 minutes. If they're really late, they actually give you your money back or give you more tickets, so don't worry about that. Now, if we're looking at where you're going to stay when you come to Italy, hotels in Italy, the rooms are small and the beds are small. And if you get a double room, it's probably going to be 2 single beds pushed together. Okay, so there'll be the crack in the middle. Be prepared for that. So if you're coming with your kids, ask for a triple so they'll have an extra bed there. Also, the bathrooms might be a little bit smaller than you're used to in the hotels in the US and other places. So just, be prepared for that. And let's be honest, you're in Italy. There's so much to do day and night here. You're just going there to sleep, take a shower, and leave. So don't let it get too problematic for you, okay? Now, some things you should know about the hotels is many of them will have a small breakfast for you, usually included in the bill. But what might get you is if you book with bookings.com or TripAdvisor or whatever, some cities have what are called city taxes, okay? For example, Rome, we had to pay 4 euros per person per night for being there. Now, the thing is, that isn't included in your normal bill, so you will have to pay that at the end. And usually the hotels prefer to have those in cash. Now, we were here with 25 people, and we stayed in Rome for 5 nights. So I had to come up with about $350 or 350 euros, at 7 o'clock in the morning. So make sure when you get to your hotel, ask, is there a city tax? Can I pay it now? Or how do I pay it in the end? Just so you have it all taken care of. Because we had a little incident, when we were leaving Rome to make sure we could get everything paid, okay? The next thing we want to look at is plugs, because we want to charge our phones, we want to charge our cameras, our laptops, all these things. You want to know, how are the plugs in Italy? You know, like in the US, you have the two flat things like this. Italy, you have the two circle ones like this, or sometimes you actually see three going in. The three one, that's the old-fashioned one. Okay, if it's got a three, you can still use the two normal European ones that go in, no problem. So you won't have a problem there. Okay, and your laptops and your phones and your cameras, their batteries and their chargers are already adapted to that, so you just need to change how the plug goes in. Okay, now a couple of safety issues I want to talk about when you do come to Italy. One thing you should know is, if you're going to places like Rome on the metro, or here in Venice at high season, there are pickpockets here in Italy, and there are a lot, relatively a lot of beggars compared to other parts of Europe, and you need to keep your eyes open, okay? It's not that bad. The people here are very friendly and helpful, but you really need, especially in Rome, when you're on the metro, by the Colosseum, these kind of things, the pickpockets work everywhere. I've gone with friends, and their mom's bags have been slashed, all kinds of stuff. So just keep your eyes open and make sure you're aware of those things. Now, the other thing that might scare you when you're here is the driving, or I should say crossing the street, or as I like to call it, praying to God I don't die when I get to the other side. The Italians, they are famous for their crazy driving, and the thing is, if you're going to be crossing, make sure you obey the signals: green, go, red, stop, okay? And you want to make sure you're walking in the crosswalk, because if you're in the crosswalk and they hit you, they pay. You're walking, they hit you, and you're out of the crosswalk, that's your fault, okay? So what I recommend, what a lot of the Romans have taught us as well, is when you're getting ready to go and there's no light, but you have the crosswalk, make eye contact with the driver, so then they know you're coming, so then they see you, they slow down, so then you know you can go, and then you're okay. Okay. Another thing that Americans might find a little shocking or strange is how much Italians smoke. Yes, Italians smoke. It's not a taboo here. People do smoke, in the cafes and outside, and while they're walking to go get a beer, it's very normal here. And I've heard a lot of American families going by, going, "Oh my God, what's with all the smoking?" Yes, just know they smoke a lot. Just the way it is. Okay, they shouldn't. It's bad for them, but Italians do smoke a lot. So if you don't like it, make sure you sit. If you sit inside the building, they can't smoke inside. But if you're in a cafe, they can't smoke outside. Okay, so just be prepared for that. Now, another thing is, in Italy, there's so much to see that you're going to be walking around a lot. And it's not like the U.S. where you get in a car and go from one place to other. You're in Rome or here in Venice, you literally walk from one side to the other, and there's always something to see. And so what I recommend, if you're coming here, wear comfortable shoes, comfortable walking shoes, and walk with them a couple weeks before you come here, so they're nice and broken in. Otherwise, you might have some shin splints or some blisters that aren't so comfortable. So make sure, get them broken in, and get your legs broken in, because you may say, "Oh, I walked the mall." Well, you know what? If you're walking in San Marino up hills, or Rome up hills, or here, it is a lot different than walking, the plains of Kansas or Illinois. Okay. Another thing you should know about Italians in terms of food and drinking is aperitivo, or the aperitivi, the afternoon kind of snack where you go and you have in the north you have a spritz, or maybe you have a beer or a prosecco. You have a drink with your friends, and they give you some little sandwiches and chips for free with that, because in Italy they eat dinner very late. Like if you go to the restaurant at like 7, no one's going to be there, okay? They'll have the kitchen open, but no one will be there. Italians usually eat about 9 at night, 10, so they have an afternoon snack, which is the aperitivo, which is a drink and some salty, savory snacks, okay? And I really recommend you do that. Go to a cafe and enjoy the aperitivo time. It is one of my favorite things to do in Italy, so I really recommend it. And then the last thing I want to talk about when you do come here are the toilets. Now, the toilets in Italy, you go to your hotel, it's going to be a normal toilet. You're not going to have any problem with those things. However, if you're going to cafes or sometimes restaurants, or if you're driving around and you're stopping at some of the gas stations, you might not always have the sit-down toilet. You might have a porcelain squatty potty, I guess you'd call it. It's not everywhere, but just know that could happen, so don't be surprised by it. Also, I see a lot of tourists going up to the water, the wash their hands, and like, how do I turn the water on? Look down. A lot of the places actually have the water turned on by a pedal on the floor, okay? So those are some of the differences I guess you should know about Italy versus the US to help you get prepared for coming here. Italy is fantastic. We got a video, the 10 best places to go in Italy, in Veneto, 5 things you love and hate about Venice, all on our website at woltersworld.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, and we really appreciate your likes and subscriptions, and we hope you have a fabulous time in Italy. But you know what? I know you will, because Italy is amazing. So, ciao, arrivederci from Venezia, Venice. Bye.